And please welcome to the stage, Miss Alex Alexander.
So when Kate asked me to do this show and told me who the charity was, I said, well, here, let me tell you a little story about the power of being able to express yourself. The theme of this show was called Criticism, and this essay is called It Takes One to Know One. Recently, I was criticized for being critical. And shortly after that, I was judged as being judgy. So to that I have to say, I know you are, but what am I? Look, I know I'm judgy, it's just not always real, okay? Being judgy is simply more fun, more interesting, more stimulating than being polite or considerate. I don't really care about many of the things I judge. I mean, I don't really hate the girl in Whole Foods wine section who's speaking in a baby voice, asking, what's the difference between Chardonnay and Sauvignon? I don't really think she was molested as a child. It's just funnier to say that I hope she was molested as a child, since that would be the only thing that explained that baby voice and kept me from giving her a sharp karate chop straight to the clavicle. It's a funnier choice, that's all. Because a discerning mind forms opinions about things, we can all admit that we're all judgy, okay? Recently, I had a friend say to me, I want you to take this class because I care about you and I want you to be able to live your best life. Now, when someone tells you they want you to live your best life, what they are implying is that in their judgment, you are not currently living your best life. So when I quit the course, due to its culty energy and dickish leanings, I was asked, what are you afraid of, Alex? And you know, I had to think about that, because I wrote an essay on courage, so I recalled that essay and I was like, well, I'm afraid of lakes. I'm afraid of whales. I'm afraid of zombies. I'm afraid that if I stay in this class for one more minute, I will probably at least twice use the pen that you gave me and shove it up through someone's jaw past their soft palate directly into their hypothalamus, causing uncontrollable urination before death. And then I would go to jail for the rest of my life with women in orange jumpsuits, no makeup, and bad haircuts, and I am definitely afraid of that. Now, originally, I had asked my friend about this class because I was looking to get credentialed to be a life coach. And I feel you judging me. But listen, I pseudo-life coach my friends and strangers in line at Starbucks all the time, so why not see if I could capitalize on all that helping that I'm doing? So it turns out this class is an offshoot of ESTAD. I love that some people in here know what that is, but for those of you under the age of 40, if you were to Google ESTAD, you would find that a very well-meaning fellow started a seminar in the 70s, which was meant to condense years of therapy into 60 hours. Now, while I deeply believe in some of the tenets of this course, I do not believe you can condense of anything into 5 long-ass brainwashing days. So, ESTAD was harshly criticized because of the exercises that they had to do, which were called primal and breakthrough, in which people had to hold hands in a circle and vibrate or lay on the floor and scream into a pillowcase filled with their childhood underpants or some shit. I don't know, it's controversial is what I'm saying. So coming from a Southern Baptist background, when I walked in, the creepy group experience of this thing looked a lot like Jim Jones, under 40, Google it, meets a Match.com event, meets Bieber Fever. And it really skeeved me out. Now, before I fully shit on this thing, and I'm going to, I want to go on record as saying it works for a lot of people. So please don't pull me over in the lobby and tell me how a similar course changed your life, because good for you, and also I don't care. I have had much debate on this course, and I don't need a single other discussion about it for the rest of my days, which according to this class are going to be miserable and unfulfilling. It works for some people. For me, I have some criticisms. So, to complete the course, there are 3 levels. I completed the first level, and I feel like I should be canonized. Because I had to partake in exercises such as kneeling on the floor in front of an empty chair, imagining it's my mother, and yelling criticisms in anger at an empty chair in a dark room with 149 other people doing the same thing for 5 minutes. That is 300 seconds, motherfuckers. Long-ass time. Now listen, it's not like I don't have an imagination. I'm an actress. I like space work. It's just, I already did that for reals with my real moms. So I'm good, thanks. But listen, that's not how it works. You don't get to pick and choose the humiliating exercises you are directed to complete in front of 149 other people. Because if you were to say, this doesn't really work for me, because when I do this, I feel dishonest and inauthentic, the reaction would be to ask you what you're afraid of, repeatedly, over and over again, even though the answer never changes. So the other super fun thing that happened was if you didn't like the language, if they didn't like, if you didn't use the language that they dubbed empowering, the whole room would yell, resistance, mid-sentence. And not like resistance in the cool Les Mis power to the people way. Like resistance in the not so cool robotic Pavlovian response sort of way. So if you said, I'm gonna try to be more open, they would yell, resistance! Because you had to say, I'm gonna be open, even if that shit was a lie, and it usually was. You had to lose the words try and more because those were excuse words. I kept my opinions to myself until day 5 at dinner time with my small group, when it was time to discuss committing to the next level, which I was not going to do. So at this point, I finally voiced my reservations while the group kept yelling, resistance! To which I replied, I heard you! Sitting right here. I'm fully admitting I'm in a place of resistance. Your yelling it at me is not going to make me want to resist any less. So my group leader said, Alex, you have control issues. To which I replied, adoy. And he said, you can't control this table. And I said, oh, watch me. Listen, the fact that they even wanted me to take the next level of this course, I found suspicious, because the only reason I paid my non-refundable $500 deposit, was because my friend said to me, Alex, you judge everything. You think we don't feel that? Most of us close to you live in fear of the day that you will judge us. And that made me feel less than. Of course, after I quit the class and spoke to my friend again, he said, well, listen, anyone I've ever talked to about you only has wonderful things to say. And so my thought was, so this isn't about me, all right? This is about you being afraid of the day I will judge you, which really is your issue, not mine. And question, why do you give a single shit about what I think about you? Because haven't they taught you in this course that what other people think about you is none of your business? I'm gonna add that to your syllabus. You're welcome. So when I walked out of the second level on day 1, I did so because the trainer told the group, and I quote, if you're not 100% committed to this course, don't come back after the break. So I thought I should go back after the break then. And then he said, if you're not willing to take part 100% in every exercise, don't come after the break. And I thought, well, I learned my lesson in level 1, and I'm not doing that shit again, so I probably shouldn't go back after the break. And then he said, I'm not here to argue with you people. If you're not willing to just embrace what we're here to impart, don't come back after the break. So first I thought, Sig Heil, right? And then I thought, well, I have questions, so I definitely shouldn't come back after the break. So when I told them I was not going back after the break, first they said, oh, don't sweat that, go back in. And I said, so all of that was a crock of shit that he just handed me? Like, no, you're gonna have to do all the exercises. Okay, but I'm not going to. Okay, well, go back in, Alex. No, I'm more than happy to go back in as long as we're all on the same page. I'm not 100% committed. I'm not doing any exercise that feels unnecessary, and I have issues. So then they asked me what I was afraid of. And I thought in my head, well, 1, I'm afraid I'm gonna bite the fucking lips off your face so that you can no longer form the letter F. But what I said was, I'm afraid of groupthink, and I think what you're doing here is dangerous. And he said to me, Alex, you're gonna get so much out of this because you are a powerful woman. And I replied, oh, I know. Which is why I don't understand why you want me to go back in that room. Because I'm gonna influence people in a way that I don't think you're expecting. And he went on to say, Alex, you're so addicted to being right. And I said, right? Kinda. And then I watched him, and I was like, he had this blank look on his face, and I said, you get that you're suggesting I shed my addiction to being right by vehemently claiming that you're right. You get the irony of that, right? He did not. So then this self-help volunteer finally said, my perception of you is that you are, and then he listed 5 things. Let's see if I can remember them. Defensive, angry, self-righteous, closed-minded, something else, I don't know, I stopped listening after closed-minded. And I said, I'm gonna stop you, Mike, real name. And I'm just gonna agree with you. You know what? I am all of those things some of the time. I'm just not ashamed of them. Now, sometimes I'm shitty, and sometimes I'm great, and any other way of being would be as boring as rice cakes. I am many things, imperfect is chief among them, and that makes me perfect just as I am. And I left. And you know what I learned? Apparently, if you say, I perceive you as, before you say shitty, horrible, damaging things to someone, then you're not a cocksucker. Because you're not saying it's true. You're just saying that's your perception. That tip's gonna come in handy. You can use it. Feel free. And here's the wrap up. I'm rubbering your glue. If we're doing it right, we're all judgy. And if it's getting in the way of making real human connections or being happy or succeeding, then by all means, go sit in a dark room and yell at an empty chair. But if I were life coaching you, I would suggest you look at the things that are wonderful about you and focus on that. So those motherfuckers can criticize that, right?
Thank you. Alex Alexander, everyone!
Alex Rising's great, and her performance was awesome.
If life were fair, she would have her own
Sitcom.
She'd not only write it,
She's starring it too.
Man, why are we in charge of the world?